Jake, you are going to take us through Navy. Take us and talk to us about the Midshipmen.
It's funny. We've done a handful of good football teams, and I'm like, well, that team could win the conference. That team could win the conference. And here's another one that, there's another team that's ranked in the top 3 in preseason odds, and it's Navy, man. And this team surprised a lot of people under Brian Newberry in his second season last year. Now it's their turn to kind of take the reins from what Army did a season ago. And it's funny because they kind of pushed around Army in that Army-Navy game that we mentioned. But when you think of service academies, you don't think of I don't want to say high-flying offense, but this team can put up some points, man. 30 points a game last year. You bring back one of the best quarterbacks in the group of 5 in Blake Horvath. And I think there's a ton to be excited about, especially retaining offensive coordinator Drew Kroenig, who kind of started this, what do you want to say, air raid style service academy. Obviously that's a little hyperbolic, but this team does throw it a lot more than any service academy we've seen in the past. Just look at the Memphis game we mentioned a year ago, won 56-44. You tell me a service academy is going to outscore Memphis 3 years ago, I thought you'd be probably smoking something. That's just what this team can do. And that's how dynamic this team is doing. 8 returning starters are back. Like I mentioned, you get Horvath back, but you also get Alex Texa, who's your fullback, and he's probably the most important piece to your running, style that you run with your option offense. He had over, 600 yards running the football last year. I think he could get to that 750, maybe 1,000-yard mark. And then you bring back another guy like Eli Heidenreich. And this guy has 1,000 all-purpose yards. He can catch the ball. He can run the football. So you get back the majority of your run game and your quarterback who can also use his legs. We saw it in that bowl game versus Oklahoma. I think the biggest question with this football team is just the offensive line. And you're going to look at a group that's going to have to lean on starters, returning starters like Ben Purvis and Cam Nichols. The rest of the group outside of those two, it's really young. But at the same time, if there's any team you trust turning over offensive linemen, it's service academies. They got guys who are pretty much 22, 23-year-old guys who haven't played before, and they're kind of ready to take that next step. So I'm not really as worried about it as some other G5s. Unlike the offense, the defense, on the other hand, lost a ton of production. You lose one of your top 3 leading tacklers, I should say, and then Colin Ramos, who was one of the best tacklers and linebackers in all of G5 last year. Landon Robinson in nose guard is a guy I would look at that could be first team all conference. So getting him back is huge. The back 7, though, has a ton of question marks. It's a group that could feature 2 sophomores and a returning starter at cornerback. You don't see a lot of sophomores and freshmen getting playing time at these service academies. So either they think really highly of these guys, or just do we have anybody else at this moment? We'll have to wait and see. The issue is, who could the defense run into? The defense is going to have to play some really, really good offenses this year, man. North Texas, USF, Memphis. We've talked about all 3 of them already. All 3 of those teams can put up points. Good news is you did it last year. You could probably go toe-to-toe and score points with these guys if needed, but I don't think you still want to leave that in the hands of a service academy team. You guys go back to the bowl game last year against Oklahoma. They were down 14-0. Offense was kind of sputtering, and you're like, can this team really keep it up and make a comeback? In which they did. But at the same time, I think a service academy is still a service academy in that you don't want to get down too many points. You're still thriving on controlling the clock, maintaining leads, and you don't want to get into as many shootouts as possible. So we'll see. I think it's up to the defense this year if this group wants to win an American Athletic Conference. I think if the defense can be a little more consistent, this group stays in that 30 points per game range. I mean, this team could be an under-the-radar team for that G5 playoff spot just with the resume and the schedule that they have this year.
It's not often you get to talk about a service academy team and talk in the 30s in points per game. It's not that Army style where you possess it 45 of the 60 minutes. I mean, this team was high-flying. That Memphis game you mentioned early in your preview, I mean, that game was legitimately insane. They couldn't stop scoring. I mean, it was 44-44 at one point, and they ripped off 2 touchdowns on 2 straight plays. So it would be a great story for them to bounce back. I mean, they put a little extra on that Army-Navy game at the end of the year. They win that one. I mean, fan base is ready to go. Navy's ready to go. I like the breakdown, Jake. All right, JP, your thoughts on the midshipmen?
I love the schedule. I think that plays into their hand heavily, and I think this is one of the more talented Navy teams we've seen in a while.